Greetings and welcome to STEM Smart Academy. Welcome all. Welcome all. Thank you for joining this session. We are going to discuss the grade 10 core mathematics, that is St. John's Buko Mixed Day and Boarding Senior School. Make sure you subscribe, like, and share the video with your other friends. Make sure you subscribe, like, and share this video with your other friends. Invite them. The consultation number is here. So let's have a look at question number 1 of this particular paper, where we are being told, use a calculator to determine the logarithm of the following numbers. Remember here, the question is very clear. You are instructed to use a calculator. So when you're told to get the log of 0.009812, what you simply do here, dear learner, you simply press log 0.009812 in your calculator, and you get your answer. Follow along keenly. Don't forget subscribing. Thank you. I'm seeing so many people tuning in. That is excellent work. Invite your other friends so that we be in this discussion together and see exactly what is required of us as we prepare for our upcoming exam, So, as we are looking at this question on how to get the log of 0.0082, so when you press in a calculator, we are getting negative 2.00824246. But now remember, in logarithms, we don't say negative 2 point. But now we are going to say our answer here is, our answer is going to be bar 2.0082446. That is going to be our answer. Then for part B, the logarithm of 23.41, what you do, just go to your calculator, then press the log of 23.41, ladies and gentlemen, where you're going to get 1.369401414. As simple as that. Let's look at this particular question, question number 2. You are being told that determine the number whose logarithm is bar 3.2472. So remember, we normally have the number. I want to draw this table so that to make you guys remember this. We have the column for the number expressed in standard form, and the logarithm form of that particular number. So once you have such a table, let us see. We are going to divide it this way into 3 columns. This will make your level of understanding simpler. Already the log here is bar 3.2472. And we want to determine the number. But before we determine the number, we have to get the standard form of the number. This bar 3 is going to be 10 raised to power negative 3. Then you multiply this by. Now we are going to the logarithm, to the mathematical table and the anti-logarithms section. Let's go to the math table and go to the anti-logarithms. When you are in the anti-logarithms, we want to read 0.2472. 0.24, let's look at it. 0.24 in the x column. 0.24 is here. 0.24, ladies and gentlemen, is here. Then we are going to 7. 0.24, then 7. So this is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That is 1.766. We are having already here 1.766. So let me write it maybe somewhere here. 1.766. Then we are left with these 2. We are going to proceed along the same row to number 2. The value here is 1. Then we go up. We want to read, are we going to add or subtract that 1? The rule is at the top here. We've been told to add the 1. So you come here, you do the addition of that 1. This will become 1.767. So this will be 1.767. So when you take 1.767, you multiply by 10 power negative 3, then now your number is going to be 0.0011767. Like that. So this is your number. So your correct answer here is 0.001767. That's how you respond to question 2 to get the mark there. Let us have a look at question number 3. Classify the following numbers as rational or irrational. A quarter, comma, 9, comma, root 5, comma, root 36, comma, 0.7, and the 7 is recurring. Remember, 1 over 4 is a fraction. We can write this as 0.225. Then when you have 9, 9 can be written as 9 over 1. When you have root 36, this is just like saying 6, which is like saying 6 over 1. When you have 0.7 and the 7 there is recurring, ladies and gentlemen, we have 0.7 with 7 recurring. So in that case, what is that number in as a fraction? What is the number as a fraction? I want to see the number as a fraction. Remember, as a fraction, we're going to have 7 points. We're going to have r is equals to 0.7. 10r is equals to 7.7. Then this is like saying 7 over 9. Let me see. 7 over 9 is exactly. This is like saying 7 over 9. Then we are having, when you look at this well, we are having root 5 here. When you press root 5 in your calculator, ladies and gentlemen, root 5 is a number that keeps continuing. 2.236067977, and the flow continues. So they are asking to classify the numbers as rational or irrational numbers. What you need to understand is that a rational number is a number that can be expressed in form of a fraction of p over q, whereby p and q should be integers and q should be non-zero. In that regard, or rather in that definition, when you now list the rational numbers here, we are going to have 1 over 4, 9, root 36, because it has an end, it is terminating, then 0.7, 0.7. This 7 has a dot on top to show that the 7 is recurring. The dot at the top shows it's recurring. Then we have the irrational. We have the irrational numbers. The irrational numbers here are root 5. The irrational number here is root 5. That's what you need to know when you are dealing with that particular question. Let's proceed and look at question number 4. We are now going to look at question number 4. Question number 4, ladies and gentlemen. Keep subscribing, liking, and sharing these videos with your other friends so that they might also benefit or rather join and enjoy these wonderful sessions. Let's look at this question in depth. Solve for x. You've been given 9 power x times 27 raised to power x minus 1. This should be equal to 1. So step number 1, let's express all of this to base 3. 9 can be written as 3 squared, so this will be 3 raised to power 2x. Being multiplied by 27 can be written as 3 cubed, so 3 cubed into x minus 1. Upon getting it as 3 power 0, now we have a law that says this way. We have a law. We have a law that says this way. The law here is this. I want you to be very, very keen. Let me use a different pen. The law is, when I have a power m being multiplied by a power n, this is like saying a power m plus n. We call it the product law of indices. We are going to apply this particular law in its computation on the left hand side, whereby this one here we are going to merge into 3 raised to, this will become 2x plus 3x minus 3 should be equivalent to 3 to the power of 0. 3 to the power of 0. So when you are here, this will now become, so this one you combine into 3 power 5x minus 3 being equal to 3 power 0 to 3 power 0. Then we have a law that says when the bases are equal, you drop the bases and proceed with your powers. So when you apply that rule, this will be now 5x minus 3 being equal to 0. It will mean that 5x is equal to 3. Then x will be equal to 3 over 5. Our x, in this case, is equal to 3 over 5. And that becomes the answer to that particular question. Look at question number 5. Look at question number 5. Look at question number 5, whereby we are being told in question number 5, all the prime numbers less than 10 are arranged in ascending order to form a number. Part A, write down the number formed. The first thing a learner should have to understand, what is a prime number? A prime number is a number that has only two factors, that is 1 and itself. So before we write down the number formed, first of all, let's have the prime numbers. The first prime number is always 2. The second prime number is 3, followed by 5, then 7. Those are the only prime numbers that are less than 10. But now they are written in ascending order. Ascending order here means from the smallest to the largest. So the number formed here is 2,357 in ascending order to form a number. Write down the number formed. This is your answer. Part B, state the place value and the total value of the second digit. State the place value and the total value of the second digit in the number formed in A above. In the number formed in A above. That is the question you have to respond to. You don't have to struggle. But now, one of the key questions are, what do they mean when they say the second digit? That is what is of much importance here, ladies and gentlemen. If you'll understand it, it will become very, very simple for you. If you'll understand it, it will become very, very simple for you. When you talk about the second digit, one common mistake that learners often commit is that the second digit, when you have the number 2357, the second digit is this digit number 3. That is the second digit. So the question is, state the place value and the total value of the second digit in the number. So here the place value, ladies and gentlemen, place value. The place value is going to be ones, tens, hundreds. So the place value here is hundreds. What about what is called the total value? For the total value, we are going to have the digit 3 multiplied by the place value 100. This is going to give you a total value of 300. This is going to give you a total value of 300. Let's have a look at question number 6 of this big paper. Without using mathematical tables or a calculator, evaluate. You've been given 27 raised to power 1 over 3. One thing I want you learners to understand, if I have a number, say A, raised to power 1 over n, this is like saying getting the nth root of A. We have that law, and following that, so when you are told to get the 27 raised to power 3, so 27 raised to power a third is just like saying the cube root of 27. And how do you get the cube root of 27? The cube root of 27 is 3. Because 3 multiplied by 3 multiplied by 3 gives you 27. When you've been given 81 over 16 raised to power negative a half, there is a law that says this way. When you have, say for example, A over B raised to power negative 1 over n, I want to use it this way, negative 1 over m. This first can be written as the mth root of b over a. Ladies and gentlemen, that's what you need to understand. So with this one here, this one, first of all, this can be written as 16 over 81 raised to power, now the negative disappears and becomes raised to power negative a half, which can further be worked into the square root not negative a half. The negative disappears and now becomes positive a half, which can now be written as the square root of 16 over 81. And the square root of 16 over 81, the square root of 16 is 4 over the square root of 81, which is 9. So 81 over 16 raised to power negative a half is just like saying 4 over 9. But now because the sign here was multiplication, now when I take the answer for 27 raised to power third, which is 3 here, being multiplied by the answer I've obtained by working out 81 over 16 raised to negative a half, which is 4 over 9. What do you get? 3 here once, 3 here 3. So this will be 4 over 3. But you can never have your answer that way. So this will now become one whole number, 1 over 3. A very, very wonderful question, ladies and gentlemen. Let us have a look at question number 7. We want to discuss this question number 7. Solve for x and y in the equation 9 power x is equal to y cubed. Sorry, 9 power x multiplied by y cubed is equal to 5,184. What we are going to get, first we are going to get the factors of 5184. So we are going to start with the smallest number. The smallest number here is 2. So we say how many times 5184 being divided by 2? This is 2592. Again, we are going to go with the 2. When you divide by 2, this becomes 1296. Again, 2 is dominating, ladies and gentlemen. 2 is really dominating here. When you divide by 2, this is 648. Again, by 2, this is 324. By 2 again, 162. By 2, 81. By 3 now here, 27. By 3, 9. Then by 3, 3. By 3, 1. 3 here, 1. So this means 5184 can be written as 2 raised to the power. How many times have we written 2 here? Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this is 2 to the power of 6 being multiplied by, let me just see. I think I should not have used this path here because I'm seeing they're having a 9. So when I read at 162, I could have proceeded with 9 here. It could have made my work very simple. This one here. At this particular juncture, after saying that 2 goes into 162 81 times, I could have now begun dealing with 9 with let me see, 3 2 here, 162, 2 here, 81. Then instead of 3, I can talk about, in fact, let me start just by breaking divided by, let me see. This is a very simple question. I want to see the best way in which I could have broken down this bit is using this approach. Because this question is very, very clear, The question here is very, very clear that the first multiple should be 9. So if you start with 9, it will be very, very simple. Look at the question. Solve for x and y in the following equation. 9 power x being multiplied by y cubed is equal to 5184. So I'm going to have 5184, then divide it by 9 first. I want to see. If I divide this by 9, this will be 576. Again, I divide this by 9. This will become 64. Now I can start breaking down. I can start breaking it down by saying 4 here should be 64 being divided by 4, that is 16. Then 64, then 4 into 16 again 4. Finally 4 here, 1. Looking at the question, so this can be written as 9 squared times 4 cubed. You need to be very keen such that to ensure that you have 9 in your factors, then the number that can be raised to power 3 times 9 power certain number to give you this. So the numbers are 9 squared times 4 cubed. In relation to this, so I have now 9 squared multiplied by 4 cubed. In relation to 9 power x being multiplied by y power 3, it simply means that the value of x is equivalent to 2 and the value of y is equivalent to 4. So that is how you are to approach this question and get the marks correct. Let's have a look at question number 8. Evaluate 1 over 3.58 plus 5 all over 0.0375 using the reciprocals table. When you go to your math tables, page 17 of your math tables is talking about the reciprocals. So let's go to the reciprocals. I hope you are all following this thing live and you are all dropping your comments where you are following us live from. So first of all, I'm going to start by dealing with 1 over 3.58. So 3.5 then 8. In your log table, let's go to 3.5 then 8 in a very organized way. 3.5 is here. 3.5. Then we are going to 8. 8 is this particular value here. So that is 0.2793. 0.2793. Then we are having the next one, which is 5 all over 0.00375. So step number 1, always factor out the numerator. You factor out the 5 into 1 all over 0.00375. That way. Then this will be now 5 into 1 all over. This will now become 3.75 times 10 power, this is 1, 2, 3, times 10 power negative 3 times 10 power to the negative of 3. So let's proceed. This will be now 5 into 3.7 then 5. Let's look at 3.7, ladies and gentlemen. It's here. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. 5 is here. So that will be 0.2667. 0.2667 multiplied by the reciprocal of 10 raised to power negative 3 is 10 raised to power 3. And when you now multiply this, when you work out this is just like saying 0.2667 being multiplied by 10 cubed, then multiplied by 5, you are going to get 1333.5. Look at the sign that was in use, addition sign. So we are now going to have 0.2793 being added to 1333.5. And when you do this addition, what are you going to get? You're going to get 1333.79, sorry, 7793. 7793. That's what you are simply supposed to do in such like a question to get your marks correct. To get your marks correct. Let's have a look at question number 9. Let's have a look at question number 9, ladies and gentlemen. The length of a rectangular floor of a classroom is 8 plus x centimeters, while the width is given as 8 minus x meters. Express the area of the floor in terms of x. So it's a rectangular floor, ladies and gentlemen. This is the rectangle. Then the length is 8 plus x meters. I want you to be very keen. 8 plus x meters, while the width is 8 minus x meters here. Then you're being told, express the area. First of all, you need to know the formula for computing area, whereby area is given by length multiplied by the width. The area here is 8 plus x multiplied by the width, which is 8 minus x. This is a difference of two squares, which can be given as 8 squared minus x squared. So this can become 64 minus x squared. This is square meters. That is how you calculate the area of that particular question. That's how you calculate the area of that particular question. I hope the point is at home. Let's have a look at question number 10. We now have to discuss question number 10. Evaluate without using mathematical tables or calculators the square root of 0.0625 times 2.56 all over 0.25 times 0.08 times 0.5. The first thing is, let's have the numerator. The numerator is 0.0625 being multiplied by 2.56, then all over 0.25 multiplied by 0.08, then times 0.5. That's what we are having. We are going to look at between the numerator and the denominator, which one has more decimal points. When you look at the numerator has 6 decimal places, while the denominator has 5 decimal places. So it means the numerator has more. So I'm going to multiply this one here by 1 million to remove the decimal points because there are 6. A million has 6 zeros. Because I've multiplied the numerator with a million, even the denominator I must multiply by a million. It is a mathematics rule that is there. So this computation is now going to give you, when you work out, all the decimal points in the numerator will disappear. We are going to have now 625 being multiplied by 256, then divided by these. The 2 zeros will remove these ones. These 2 zeros will remove this one. The 1 will remove this. So this will become 25 multiplied by 8 multiplied by 5 multiplied by 10. So let's do the cancelling, or rather the simplification, because you've been told without using a calculator. 25 here, it will be once. 25 into 6, 25, it will be 25 times. Then 5 here, once. 5 into 25, 5 times. 5 here, once. 5 into 10, twice. Then let us see. 8 here, once. 8 into 256, it is normally 32 times. Then 2 here, once. 2 into 32, 16. So this is giving me 16 over 1. Remember, all of this was under square root. So what is the square root of 16? The square root of 16 will be 4 over 1, which is just like saying 4 is your final answer to this particular question. I've not used a calculator anywhere. I've not used a calculator anywhere in that particular question. As we are proceeding, I also show you our online tuition program, whereby we have mathematics, physics, integrated science, pre-technical studies, and computer studies. The charges are only 500 shillings per hour per learner. Is a number that is not divisible by 2. An odd number is a number that is not divisible by 2, while an even number is a number that is not divisible by 2. Any number that ends with a 0, a 2, a 4, a 6, or a 8 is an even number. But any number that ends with a 1, a 3, a 5, a 7, a 9, that one is an odd number. So let us start by listing odd numbers first. The first odd number is 31 because it's not divisible by 2. 51 is not also divisible by 2. The square root of 81 is 9. 9 is not divisible by 2. So that means even the square root of 81 is an odd number. So these three are odd numbers. Let's list the even numbers. With the even numbers, the first even number we have is 42. The second even number we have is 48, then 60. That is the classification. We have 148 here. This is 148, not just 48. 148, yes. That is how you classify those particular numbers as odd or even, as odd or even. Let's look at question number next. That is question number 12 of our discussion tonight. Question number 12. Express 1728 as a product of its prime factors. Hence, evaluate the cube root of 1728. So when you look at this, 1728, let's go. We list the factors. So I'm going to start with the 2. When you take 1728, you divide this by 2. You're going to get 864. Again, you divide by 2. You get 432. When you divide this again by 2, you get 216. When you divide by 2, you get 108. When you divide this by 2, you get 54. By 2, 27. By 3, 9. By 3, 3. By 3, 1. So 1728 can be written as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times 2. Then times 3 times 3 times 3. In other words, it can be written as 2 power 6 multiplied by 3 squared. Sorry, by 3 cubed. But now they want the cube root. So the cube root of 1728 will be equal to, when you're told to get the cube root, you're going to put these numbers into threes this way. That is 2. You pick 1. The 3 is also here, you pick 1. So this will be like saying 2 times 2 times 3, which is 12. Which is 12. So that's how you respond to question number 12 to get it correct. We are going to question number 13. A water pump fills a tank at a rate of 3.2 liters, 3.2 liters per minute. Use reciprocals to determine the time the water pump takes to fill 1 liter. So we are being told 3.2 liters per minute. It means if 3.2 liters are being filled in 1 minute, what about 1 liter? What about 1 liter? When you cross multiply, this will be 1 times 1 over 3.2. So this is just like saying 1 over 3.2. But now, this 1 over 3.2, this time round, you've been told to use the reciprocals table. So what is the reciprocal of 3.2? Let's go to page 17 of our log table. It is here. The reciprocal of 3.2, ladies and gentlemen, is 0.3125. So the answer here is 0.3125 minutes. That's the time it will take. 0.3125 minutes. Let's proceed to question number 11, number 14. To those who are interested for consultation, my number is 07 41 30 43 11. That's our consultation number. Now let's dig deep into this question number 14. Solve the equation. You've been given x plus 3 over 4 being equivalent to 1 over x minus 2. So what you're going to do here, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to do what is called cross multiplication that way. So we have now x plus 3. Now this one being multiplied with x minus 2 should be equal to 1 multiplied by 4. We open brackets, x times x becomes x squared. X times negative 2, that will become minus 2x. 3 times x, that will become plus 3x. 3 times negative 2, that will become negative 6, being equivalent to 1 times 4 is 4. So this will become x squared. Negative 2x plus 3x, that will be plus x, minus 6 is equal to 4. Because they want to solve this, it means that for this particular question, we are going to form a quadratic equation. So this will become x squared plus x minus 6 minus 4 is equivalent to 0. So this will become x squared minus x minus 10 is equal to 0. Let us now see what's going to happen. Let's see what's going to happen here. When you look at it keenly, I'm looking for two numbers whose sum is equal to negative 1. Sorry, this should be plus. Whose sum is equal to positive 1. And whose product, the product of the two numbers should be negative 10. What are the two numbers? What are these two numbers? whose sum is positive 1 and whose product is the product should be positive 10. Sorry, negative 10. You need to be very, very keen in such a question. Very, very keen in such a question. Is it giving, or there is a value I've left out? Let me cross check for higher degree of accuracy. Thank you to all those who are joining. Thank you very much. We appreciate your wonderful efforts. Keep subscribing, liking and sharing these videos with your other friends so that they might also join and share to you this wonderful session. So, will it really give us the sum should be 1 and the product should be negative 10? What are the two numbers here? That is what we are looking for. But because it's not giving us what we want, we are going to use the quadratic formula. Hope you recall the quadratic formula that x can be given by minus b plus or minus the root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a. So in that regard, we're going to have negative, the b here is 1, so that will be negative 1 plus or minus the root of 1 squared minus 4 times a, which is 1, times c, which is negative 10. Divide this by 2 times a, which is 1. So this will become negative 1 plus or minus. So this will become, let me key in my calculator for higher degree of accuracy. So I have 4 times 1 times negative 10, that will be negative 40. Then 1 minus negative 40, that's positive 41. Then the square root is 6.403. 6.403 divided by 2. So for the first case, we are going to have negative 1 minus 6.403 divided by 2, or negative 1 plus 6.403 divided by 2. So what are you going to get here? The first value is negative 1 minus 6.403, then divided by 2. That's going to give you negative 3.7015, or negative 1 plus 6.403, negative 1 plus 6.403 divided by 2. This is going to be 2.7015. So those are the possible values of x. Those are the possible values of x. We make progress, dear learners. We make progress. Keep subscribing and sharing this link. Simplify the following, giving the answer in the positive index form. Your answer should be in the positive index form. The positive index form, ladies and learners, this means the index should be a positive number. The rule is this: when I have a over b raised to power negative m. This can be written as b over a. You interchange the numerator and the denominator, positive m now. So with that regard, in this question, we are going to interchange the numerator and the denominator so that we have 3 over 2x. But now this is going to be raised to power 4. You can see in that case, the power or the index is now a positive number. That's what is required there. Look at part B. The same applies. You interchange the numerator and the denominator such that now we're going to have g all over e squared f, all of this being now raised to power positive 3, being raised to power positive 3. That's what is required of you. That is what is being required of you as a learner in that question. And that takes us now to question number 16. I hope you are ready for this question 16. Express log to base 10 of 100 is equal to 2 in index form. In index form, this will be written as, in index form, this can be written as 10 squared is equal to 100. 4 power x is equal to 64. Into logarithm form, this will be written as, when you're given 4 power x is equal to 64, this will be written as log to base 4 of 64 is equal to x. That is now in logarithmic form. Log to base 4 of 64 is equal to x. That is in logarithmic notation. We proceed to question number 17, where we are being told in question number 17, factorize the following quadratic expression: 6x squared minus 7x minus 3. So when you have 6x squared minus 7x minus 3, and you are told to factorize is to remove the common factor. Factorizing is removing the common factor. We need to see how we are going to do this. So here we are going to have a look at it this way. The sum should give me negative 7. The product of the two numbers here should give me negative 18. So negative 7 and negative 18, what are these two numbers? Whose sum is negative 7 and the product is negative 18. You get it is 2 and negative 9. If that is the case, now we are going to have 6x squared minus 9x plus 2x minus 3. Then you factor out the common factor. We are going to have here, after pairing them into 2's, we're going to have 2x into 3x minus 9x squared minus 3x squared. That is wrongly factored out. The common factor should be 3x into 2x minus 3 plus 2x minus 3. So plus 1 into that. So this is now going to give you, the final answer will be 2x minus 3 being multiplied by 3x plus 1. 3x plus 1. That is how your final answer should look like. As simple as that for question number 17. We are going now to have a look at question number 18. The roots of the quadratic equation ax squared plus bx plus c is equal to 0 are 3 and 8. Determine the values of a, b, and c. 3 and 8, that means, I want you to be very keen. It simply means, I want you to be very keen. The roots here, it means the values of x can be equal to 3. And x also was equal to 8. If that is the case, if x is equal to 3, when this one goes over here, it will mean x minus 3 should be equal to 0. Similarly, if x is equal to 8, and this 8 crosses to the left and becomes minus, it means x minus 8 is equal to 0. Then it will mean, even if I multiply these, x minus 3, x minus 8, the answer should give me a 0. And if you have that in your mind, x times x will become x squared. X times negative 8, that is negative 8x. Negative 3 times x, that will be negative 3x. Negative 3 times negative 8, that is positive 24, is equal to 0. When you combine, this will be now x squared minus 11x plus 24 is equal to 0. Then when you do matching, ax squared plus bx plus c is equal to 0. The value of a here will be 1. The value of b will be negative 11. The value of c will be equal to positive 24. That is what you need to understand in question number 18. Let's have a look at section B now. That's the end of section A. In section B, our consultation number still remains 07 41 30 43 11. Kindly subscribe to this channel to keep it growing. Just subscribe if you find you are learning something. Don't forget about our online tuition program, dear learners, where we offer mathematics, physics, integrated science, pre-technical studies, and computer studies. All you have to do is only to pay 500 shillings per hour. These are individualized tuition programs, not for all the learners, just for individual learners with particular problems. They'll be addressed. Let's have a look at section B of this wonderful paper. Section B of this wonderful paper. Determine the reciprocal of the following numbers using division. The reciprocal of the following numbers using division. 1, you're being told 6.5. You know 6.5 can be written as 6.5. This is like saying 6.5. When you have 6.5, this is like saying 6.5, which can be written as 13 over 2. But now they are saying by division. They are very specific here, using division method. What are we going to do in this case? They want to use division method to find the reciprocal of this particular question. Let me use the division method or the division approach that they are recommending we use. Remember, in mathematics, if you've been told to use a particular method, make sure you use that method to avoid being penalized some marks. Every mark counts. So let us start. Determine the reciprocal of the following numbers using division method. One thing I want you to understand is this one. To find its reciprocal, it will be 1 all over the number 6.5. So when you have 1 over the number 6.5, what is it now going to be? What is it now going to be? This is just like saying 1 over 6.5 can be written as 6.5, which can further be written as 1 over 6.5 is just like saying 13 over 2. 13 over 2. And when you have 13 over 2, this is like saying when you have now 1 divided by 13 over 2, this will now become 1 times 2 over 13, which will make your final answer to be 2 over 13. And that I've used the long division method. Let's look at question number Roman 2. 1 whole number 2 over 3. So when you have 1 whole number 2 over 3, you change this to improper fraction, it will become 5 over 3. Then you know this is like saying 1 divided by 5 over 3, which will be 1. The division changes multiplication. The next fraction reciprocates to 3 over 5. When you multiply by 1, you get your answer is 3 over 5. And that is how you answer that question. Part B of the same question, part B. Determine the value of x given that you are now being told to determine the value of x given that 1 over x is equal to 3.3 all over that 5.42 plus this. So this can be written as 1 over x can be given as 3 into 1 all over 3.542 times 10 plus 1 all over 1.588 times 10. I'm using the reciprocals. So this first will now become 1 over x should be equal to 3 into, let's go 3.5 then 4. In the 3.5 then 4, 3.5, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. You get it is 0.2825. 2825, 0.2825. So I have here 0.2825. After the 4, we go to 2. We are going now to 2. 3, 5. We go to 2. 2, the value is at 2. What are we doing? We should be subtracting. So you subtract that 2. Let us subtract the 2. So this will become 0.2823. This will become 0.2823 times now 0.1 because the reciprocal of 10 is 0.1 plus what do you get here? This will be 1.5 then 8. Let us see. 1.5 is here. Go to 8. 6329. 0.6329. 1.3 then 8. Then 8 again along the same row. Let me see. 1.388. 44. You subtract here the 44. When you subtract the 44, 63, 29, you minus 44. This will become 0.6285. 6285. So this will now become 0.6285 times 0.1. So 1 over x will be equal to, when you take 3 times 0.2823 times 0.1, that will now become 0.08469 being added to 0.06285. So when you do this addition, you are going to get 1 over x being equivalent to 0.14754. Then when you are here, remember the motive is to get the value of x. Remember, the question is 4 marks. To get now the value of x now, we are going now to read the reciprocal of 0.14754. And how do you read the reciprocal here? This will be like saying 1 all over 1.4754 times 10 power negative 1. So go to 1.4 then 7. 1.4 then 7. Let me use a red ink to distinguish. 1.4 then 7 is here. 6803. 6803. 1.4 then 7. Again 5 now. 5. We proceed to the column headed 5, that is 24. You subtract 6803, you less 24, you get 6779. So this will become 67, 0.6779 being multiplied by the reciprocal of 10 power negative 1 will be 10. It will make your answer to be 6.779 if you use the mathematical table. If you use the mathematical table, that is exactly what you are going to get. And you enjoy these mathematics, dear learners. You have to enjoy this mathematics. You have to enjoy the mathematics here. I hope I've done it the right way. I hope that everything is correct. Everything here should be correct. It is my hope that things are being done in the right way. It is my hope that things here are being done in the right way. Let us have a look at the next part of the question paper. That is question number part C. Write down the factors of each of the following. 45. What are the factors of 45? How do you get the factors of 45? You have here 45, you go 3 here 15, 3 here 5, 5 here 1. So when you're asked about the factors of 45, we have 1, 3, and 5. These are the factors. Not really that way. We have 1, 3, 5. We also have 15 here. Sorry, we also have 15. And finally, even 45 itself is a factor. Those are the factors of 45. The factors of 23 are only 2, that's 1 and 23, because it's a prime number. Let's look at this particular question and work it out. We are being told, use the quadratic identities to expand. This is like saying when you have a plus b being multiplied by a plus b, when you expand, this is written as a squared plus 2ab plus b squared. Then when you have a minus b times a minus b, in fact there was no squaring here. A minus b times a minus b, this gives you a difference of 2 squares, which is written as a squared minus b squared. So applying the first identity to Roman 1, ladies and gentlemen, applying the first identity to Roman 1, we are going to have this as, this one now will become 4x squared plus 12 plus 12x plus 9. That is how you expand it. For this one here, it's going to be k squared minus 36. K squared minus, no, not really, difference of 2 squares. This one is wrongly written. I'm not convinced with this one. When you have a minus b, this should have been written like this. We normally have this as a squared minus 2ab plus b squared. Apologies for that. So bringing it here, this is going to be k squared minus 12k plus 36. That is how you could have responded to that question. Let's look at this question number B. Solve for y in the equation 7 power y plus 1 plus 7 power y minus 1 is equal to 350. A very, very wonderful question. And we are going to follow a series of laws when we arrive here. The first law is when I have a raised to power m plus n, this can be written as a power m times a power n. When I have b power x minus y, this can be written as b power x over b power y. I want to bear that in mind. So applying the first law, when you have 7 power y plus 1 plus 7 power y minus 1 being equal to 350, we start with the first law. We start with the first law on this one. This will be like saying 7 power y being multiplied by 7 power 1, then plus 7 power y all over 7 power 1. This should be equal to 350. When we are here, I can now say, maybe for instance, let 7 power y be k. So in that context, 7 power y will be k. So k times 7 power 1, that will be 7k. Plus, because 7 power y is k, so this will be k over 7 to be equal to 350. I can decide to remove this denominator by multiplying through by 7. I'll multiply here by 7, also here by 7, also here by 7. When you do that multiplication, ladies and gentlemen, 7 by 7k will become 49k. Then 7 and 7 here will cancel to make this one plus k, being equivalent to when you look at it well, I want you to be very keen. Being equal to, when you take 350, you multiply by 7, you get 2450. This one will become is equal to 2450. 49k plus k, that will be 50k, is equal to 2450. What's the value of k? When you take 2450, you divide by 50, this is 49. K is 49. But remember, 49 can be written as 7 power 2. But what was our k? Our k was 7 power y. So it means 7 power y, which was what we decided to be our k, is equal to 49, which can be written as 7 power 2. We have a law that says if we are dealing with indices of the same basis, if the bases are equal, even the powers are equal. Therefore, in this regard, even y, the value of y is going to be equal to 2. Y is now equal to 2 for that particular question. Let's look at part C of our discussion tonight. Part C of our discussion tonight. We are being told in part C, evaluate 4 raised to power 2y minus 1 times 2 raised to power 2y plus 3. Remember, 4 can be expressed to base 2 by saying this is like saying 2 power 2 into 2y minus 1 being multiplied by 2 raised to power 2y plus 3. Upon opening the brackets, this will become 2 power 4y minus 2 being multiplied by 2 power 2y plus 3. When we are here, we can combine them into a single one. Because we are adding, we have a law that says, when you have x power a being multiplied by x power b, this can be written as x power a plus b. That where we add the powers. Applying that law, this can be written as 2 raised to power 4y minus 2 plus 2y plus 3, which can further be written as 2 raised to power 4y plus 2y, this will be 6y. Then minus 2 plus 3, that will be plus 1. And that will become your answer to that particular question. That will become your answer to that particular question. Let's look at question number D. Evaluate 8 times 10 power 0. So when you have 8 times 10 power 0, remember a number raised power 0 is a 1. So this is just like saying 8 multiplied by 1, whose answer is 8. Whose answer is 8. Let us have a look at this question. We are being told that in question number 21, that the area of a rectangular, let me reframe the question. The area of a rectangular farm is 7,462 square meters. The width of the farm is 82 meters. Use logarithm tables to determine the length. Use logarithm tables to determine the length. What you have to understand, how do you calculate the area? Area, because it's a rectangle, then area is normally calculated by length multiplied by the width. That's basically how you calculate the area. But when you have the concept of length multiplied by the width, we have now to understand this way that we have some laws that we need to apply here in order to respond to this particular question. And maybe let me first give you the laws that you need to know in this particular question. Remember the law that says the log of A times B is equivalent to log A plus log B. The log of A over B, this is equivalent to log A minus log B. Then the log of A power n, this is just like saying n log A. We need to bear this in mind. And now if you have that, you can now do very well here, because remember we've said that if area is given by length multiplied by the width, then it means, because now we want to determine the length, it means that length is calculated by taking area divided by the width. And if that is the case, it means when I get the log of length, it should be equal to the log. That means when I can introduce logs to both sides. So log L is equals to the log of area divided by the log of the width. Log of area, in fact, this should be like this. This should be, if I introduce log on both sides, so this should be log area divided by the width. But ideally, you are all aware, if this is the case, then it means that the log of the length is equivalent to, when I expand this, this will be log of area minus the log of the width. From this one here that I've shown you, from this second law, you can derive that. So we can proceed and say now, remember they have said using logarithm tables. So this can be written as the log of length, log length is equals to log of area, so that will be the log of what is the area? The log of 7462 minus the log of the width, which is 82, like that. Now we will use logarithm tables to find the logs of 7482. What I want you to understand is this, that log L now will be given by this will now become, let me take you to the logarithm tables. I want to take you to the logarithm tables, and I'm going to show you in a very simple way exactly what is required of you as a learner in such questions. Keep subscribing, liking and sharing these videos with your other friends, I want the log of 7462. So I'll come here, 7462. For me to get the log of 7462, what are we going to do? First of all, I'm going to express 7462 can be written as the log of 7.462 times 10 cubed minus the log of 8.2 times 10, that way. So we proceed. 7.462, let's look at it. 7.4 then 62, 7.4, 7.4 then 62. 7.4 is here, 6 is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8727. We have it as 8727. This will be now 3.8727, then 2. Proceed along the same row. Proceed along the same row to 2. The value is 1. What do you do to that 1? You add the 1. Add the 1. This will now become 3.8728. 3.8728. Then for this one, for this other one, 8.2, then 10 power 1. That will be like saying minus 1.8.2. Let me see. 8.2 in our table, in our logarithm table. 8.2. I want to look at 8.2. The value is 0.9138. 9138. So this will be 0.9138. So when you deal with this will be 3.8728 minus 1.9138. What are you going to get here? What are you going to get here? 3.8728 minus 1.9138. This will become 1.959. 1.959. This is like saying log L is equal to 1.959. 1.959. Then after that, we need now to read the antilog of that value. To get L, we are now going to read the antilog. But because this is 0.1 though, so this is like saying 10 power 1 times 0.95 then 1. 0.95 under antilogs, 0.95 then 1. Under the antilogs, 0.95 then 1. 9501 is 8.933. 8 point. I want this to be very, very clear. 8.933. 8.933. So this will be now times, just a moment, let me see. This will be, I've lost it again, let me see. 9.952. It's 0.959. 0.95, then 9. 959 is here. 959 is here. 9.099. 9.099. So this will be 9.099, which finally will be equal to 90.99. This will be meters. 90.99 meters as the answer to that particular question. You can see it was quite a very engaging question, but it's well clarified. Let's look at part B of this question. Part B of this wonderful question. Evaluate using logarithm tables. You've been told to do this evaluation using the logarithm tables. So we're going to have a table of 3 columns. The first column is for the number. Then we're going to have a column for the standard form. Then the log of that particular number. Be very keen because the question is 4 marks, and many learners tend to leave this question blank or unattended due to lack of enough confidence to tackle the question. So let's see exactly what is required here. The number here is 8432 squared. So what we do first, express the number in standard form. This will be 84. This will be 8 point. In standard form, we are going to have this number is 8.432 times 10 cubed. The power becomes the characteristic, that is 3 point. Then you go to the tables of natural logarithms. We go to the tables of natural logarithms, ladies and gentlemen. What do we want? The log of 8.4, then 3. 8.4, log of 8.4, then 3. Let's look at it. 8.4 is here. 3 is here. 0.9258. 9258. So we have 0.9258. But we have these 2 remaining. So we are going to extend the same to 2. We are extending the same to 2. We are extending the same to 2. When you extend it to 2, you get 1. And the value there is add. When you add, this will become 9259. So this is 9259. But because it was squared, now this one you have to multiply by 2. And when you multiply this by 2, what are you going to get? That one you can even do the multiplication using your calculator. There is no penalty. That will be 3.9259 being multiplied by 2 to give you 7.851. We are done with that first number. The next number here, ladies and gentlemen, is 0.1259. In standard form, we have 1.259 times 10 power negative 1. This will be bar 1 point. 1.2 then 5. Let's look at it in the table. 1.2 then 5. 1.2 is here, then 5 is here. Let me see. Yes, I hope it's well matched. 1.25 is here, 0.069. 06, no, 0969. 0969. But now we are left with 5 by 9, sorry. We go along the same row to 9. So here you need to be very, very keen. Without the values here are collapsing. This one joins here. This one joins with this. This one joins with this. So this is mine. I'm going now to 9. I'm now going to 9. I'm now going to 9. The value there is 31. Then what do? You add. Add 31 here. This will be 10, 10, 10, 1. That is 1,000. That is 1,000. So you come here. This is 1,000 this way. But now because they were multiplied, these two you add. Hope you are arranging your work. So this will be 8, 1, 5. Let me see. 8, 1, 5, 9.7 plus by 1, this will be positive 6. That's what I found in the numerator. I pick the denominator. The number here is 27.478 cubed. So in standard form, this will be 2.748 times 10 power 1. So this will be by 2.7 then 4. 2.7 then 4. We are going 2.7 is here, then 4 is here. 43.78. We are having 43.78. Let me note it somewhere here. 43.78. Then after that 4 we have 8, meaning we are going to proceed along the same road to 8. 8 is here. The value there is 13. What do you do to 13? You add here 13. Let's do the addition. This will be 11, 9, 3, 4. 43.91. This becomes 43.91. Because it was cubed, so you multiply this by 3. When you multiply that by 3, that one I said you are free to use a calculator. 1.4391 being multiplied by 3 now, you get 4.3173. That's the denominator. So because numerator over denominator, then you are supposed to subtract their answers. Be very keen with how this work is ongoing. So 8 minus 3, that's 5. 1 minus 7 is impossible. You borrow 1 from 5 to make it 11. 11 minus 7, you get 4. 4 minus 1, you get 3. 9 minus 3, you get 6. 6 minus 4, you get 2. That is 2.6345. But because all of these, ladies and gentlemen, it was under square root, so we are going to divide this by 2 because we are square rooting. And because it's a positive number, you just divide directly. This will be now 2.6345 divided by 2 to give you 1.31725. Then now we are going to read the other way. This will be 10 power 1 times. Then now we go to the antilogs, 0.31 then 7. 0.31 then 7. We are now going to the antilogs. Where is this? 0.31, 0.31, then 7. 0.31 is here, learners. 7 is here. 7 is there. 0.31, then 7. You will be getting 2.075. 2.075. We are having 2.075. 2.075. But I'm left with this 0.317. I'm left with this one, 2, 3. DP, this one will become 3. I'm now going to 3. Along the same to 3, it's 1. What are you doing to that value 1? Let me see. You add the 1. When you add the 1, so this one will become 2.076 times 10 power 1. This will become 20.76 as your final answer. So you can see the due process that you are to follow for you to get this particular question right. That is how mathematics is broken down without fumbling. Everything well analyzed, then you get your answer. Remember, with math you need daily practice, no shying, then you will be able to get your answer with ease. So that is 20.76. Let's now look at the next part as we are almost winding up these particular questions. The paper was quite involving. Remember, it's a grade 10 question paper, but testing questions even up to Form 3 level. This is CBC Mathematics. I want to look at question number C. Evaluate bar 6.509 divided by 4. So, dear learners, there is one thing I want you to understand. When you have bar 6.509 divided by 4, you don't just divide that directly. Remember, it's only the 6 that is negative. So, we have to do some critical thinking. First, you ignore that bar sign and read the number is 6. Then ask yourself, which number are you going to add to 6 to make it fully divisible by 4? I'm going to add 2. When I add 2 to 6, it will become 8. 8 divided by 4, it will be 2. So when I add 2 to 6, this will be 8. So I'm going to treat it as bar 8 being divided by 4 plus, because I've added here 2, even to the decimal point, I'm going to have 2 point, I can say 2 plus 509. In fact, let me have it this way for clarity purposes. Because I've added 2 to bar 6 to make it bar 8, I'm now going to left with a 0.059. So 2 plus 0.509 also divided by 4. So this will become bar 2 plus, then this other side you can add using a calculator. That will become 2.509 being divided by 4. That becomes 60. This will become 0.62725. When you add, this will become bar 2. This is going to become bar 2.62725. A very, very wonderful question. Let's look at this. If it's multiplication like this case, bar 4.21 multiplied by 2, here we are multiplying directly. It's like saying bar 4. I'm going to rearrange bar 4.21 and I'm multiplying here by 2. 2 times 1 is 2. 2 times 2 is 4. 2 times bar 4 will be by 8. As simple as that, and that is the answer for that particular question. Let's look at question number 22. I tell you, now this is a Form 3 question being tested here in grade 10 mathematics, core mathematics. To those who are doing STEM, you can now see the questions you are having. Look at our online tuition programs as we continue. The services we offer are math, physics, integrated science, pre-technical studies, and computer studies. The charges are only 500 shillings per hour. Our consultation number is pinned here at the bottom left corner, and our location is at the bottom right corner. Feel free to reach out anytime for more clarification. I want to look at this question 22 in detail, and the session is very engaging. A group of women decided to contribute 1,200 shillings to buy some plates. In the process, 5 women were unable to contribute the targeted amount, and as a result, each of the remaining had to contribute 20 shillings more to buy the same number of plates. Taking X as the original number of women in the group, write an expression in terms of X for the Roman 1, the original amount each woman contributed. Remember, they are talking about the original amount. The correct language there is to be the original amount each woman was to contribute. So because the original number of people were X and the total amount to be contributed was 1,200, so the amount being contributed by each person originally could have been the total amount to be contributed, 1,200, divided by the original number of people, which is X. So 1,200 all over X become your answer there. Let's look at Roman 2. The new amount each woman was to contribute. Remember, even if 5 women were unable to contribute the targeted amount, each of the remaining had to contribute 20 shillings more to buy the same number of plates, meaning that they still had to contribute 1,200 shillings, but now because 5 are unable to contribute, the new number of people contributing will be X minus 5. So here, the new amount being contributed by each person will be 1,200 over X minus 5. I'm saying X minus 5 because these 5 women were unable to do the contribution. Part B, form an equation in X and hence determine the original number of women in the group, 6 marks. So what you need to know, the new contribution of women exceeds the original contribution of women by 20 shillings. If I take the new contribution of women, that is 1,200 over X minus 5. This is the new contribution per woman minus their original contribution, which is 1,200 over X. The difference here should give me 20 shillings because each woman, we are being told, was to contribute 20 shillings more. I hope the language in use has been clarified there. So this is the equation. Form an equation in X. That's how you form that equation, and you leave it that way. Hence, determine the original number of women in that group. To determine the original number of women, we are going to solve this equation to get the value of X. Remember, X represented the original number of women. So in other words, the question is, using this equation you formed, find the value of X. Find the value of X. So to find the value of X, we have the equations, that is 1,200 over X minus 5 minus 1200 over x being equal to 20. We are going to remove the denominator by multiplying through by the LCM of the denominators. So let me multiply each term by the LCM. The LCM will be x into x plus 5. Also here I'll multiply with x into x plus 5. Here also x into x plus 5. That is the bit that learners tend to confuse the most. Upon reaching here, look at how I'm going to simplify my work. In the first part, the x minus 5 and the x minus 5 cancel out. Then x times 1200, this will become 1200x. Here this x and this x cancel. I'll be now left with minus 1200x plus 6000. Is it really plus? Let me see. No, this should be minus. Be very, very keen with these signs. Minus 6000 should be equal to 20x squared plus 100x. When you reach here, again you realize that the 1200x and the 1200x will cancel out. Then now you are going to have your equation is negative 6000 is equal to 20x squared plus 100x. When you are here, collecting the like terms and making them in a quadratic equation format, you're going to have these as 20x squared plus 100x plus 6000 is equal to 0. When you reduce by dividing through by 20, you're going to have this as x squared plus 5x plus 300 is equal to 0. So we are almost finishing up that question. Look at, this is a grade 10 question. Just imagine, in 844, this topic is covered in Form 3. But here are our bright grade 10s tackling it at their level. So when we are here, I'm going to use the quadratic formula. That is, x is given by minus b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. A very, very simple formula to master. So this will be minus 5 plus or minus the root of b squared, which is 5 squared in this case, minus 4 times a, which is 1, times c, which is 300, all over 2 times a, which is 1. So this will be minus 5 plus or minus, how will I have this one here? There is a value that seems I've missed. I feel there is a value I missed somewhere. 1200 over x minus 5 minus 1200 is equal to this. Oh, so this sign here should have been a negative sign. That's why it was not giving me what I want. This sign should be negative. This sign here, I think it has, yes, the sign should have been negative. This sign, let me use a red ink. This sign here is negative. That's why I was not seeing what I want. Then that makes also this value here to be negative. So this will be negative, negative. And in that case, this will be negative 100x. This one here should be negative 100x. When you reduce, this will be negative 5x. That's why it was not giving exactly what I want. Negative 5x. So minus b, so minus 5, that will make this one now to become positive 5. positive 5. But now, this one here will be negative 5 squared minus 4 times A, which is 1, times C, which is 300. Will this one fix what I want? Let me see. Let me see this. So this one will be negative that minus this plus 600 is equals that. Will it fix whatever I'm thinking of? Let me see how I open these brackets. This was 20x squared minus 100x. So plus that. So that is x squared minus that plus that. Minus b plus or minus the root of b squared, which is negative 5 squared plus minus 4 times a times c. So that will be is it giving what we want? I still suspect there is something that I've left behind. Let us cross check and see what is it that most probably. Let's look at this sign here. I think this is where this should be 1200x, because x minus 5 and x minus 5 cancelled out. We were left with x, so that will be 1200x minus then what we expect. I think it's now done. So this one now here will be 4 times 1 times negative 300. That is negative 1200. Then negative 5 squared, that's 25, minus this, that will be 1225. Its square root is 35. So this one will be now minus 5 plus or minus 35 divided by 2. So the first case will be negative 5 minus 35 divided by 2, or negative 35, sorry, negative 5. We have here negative 5 plus 35 divided by 2. So this will mean negative 5 minus 35, that's negative 40. Divided by 2, that is going to be negative 20. Or negative 5 plus 35, that is positive 30, divided by 2, that's 15. So x can be negative 20 or 15. But because x is the number of people, we don't expect negative number of people. Therefore, it means x is equals to 15 women. Then originally the number of women there were 15. Part C, determine the number of women that contributed the amount which contributed. So the number of women who contributed, because 5 were not able to contribute, so it will be 15 minus 10, sorry, 15 minus 5, 15 minus 5, 15 minus 5, this gives you 10 women. And these 10 women, because they were contributing 1,200 as total, divide by 10, it means each woman contributed 120 shillings. Each woman contributed 120 shillings. But is it giving us exactly what we expect? Let us see. I hope that I've done this one here well. Negative 5 plus 35. Negative 5 plus 35 divided by 2 is 15. Negative 5 minus 35 is 40. Negative, I think they were to contribute 20 shillings more. If 5 women pulled out from 15, meaning we are left with 10. And if initially they were let us proceed and make progress. We are looking at now question number 20, number 23, which is the last question of discussion. Let's look at question number 23, which is our last question. Simplify this expression. When you look at this can be written as the numerator, because it is x squared plus 6x plus 9. This can be written as x plus 3. In that context, so when you write numerator, divide by the denominator, the numerator will be now x plus 3 all over x minus 3 x plus 3. This one and this one cancel. So the answer here will be x plus x minus 3. That is the answer to part A. Part B, a rectangular kitchen garden is surrounded by a path of uniform width of y meters as shown. Write an expression of y to represent the area of the garden. So, write an expression in terms of y to represent the area of the garden. First of all, let's get the length. It's good we compute the length of the garden. The length will be given by minus 2y, and the width of that particular garden will be given as 8 minus 2y. So now the area of that garden, because area is given by length multiplied by the width, so here we are going to have 12 minus 2y being multiplied by 8 minus 2y. So let's do this multiplication. This particular 12 times 8 is 96. 12 times 2y, that is negative 24y. Negative 2y times 8, that's negative 16y. Negative 2y times negative 2y, that's positive 4y squared. So this will be 96 minus 30, minus 40. This is minus 40y. Then plus 4y squared. That is expression for the area. Part B, use quadratic identities to evaluate these. We now need to use quadratic identities to do this evaluation. We need to use quadratic identities to do these particular identities. Remember, when you're given such identities, you must use the quadratic identities, because that is what the question is instructing you to do. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share these videos with your other friends. We are doing the last 2 bits, then we finish discussing this whole big paper. So let us see exactly what we are supposed to do. Quadratic identities are very, very important anytime you are preparing for your exam. So, according to the laws, what you need to know is this. Remember, when you have these laws, remember this identity that says a plus b times a minus b being equal to a squared minus b squared, a difference of 2 squares. So we are going to apply it in the first one. 5,005 can be written as 5,000 plus 5 being multiplied by 4,999 can be written as 5,000 minus 5, like that. This difference of two squares, this is just like saying, when you look at it well, this is like saying 5,000 squared minus 5 squared. Now when you work on that, 5,000 squared minus 5 squared, you get 24. 99,975. That is the answer for that particular point. Then, when you have this one here, we are going to apply this principle that when you have a plus b squared is like saying a squared plus 2ab plus b squared. So when you have 51, 51 can be written as 50 plus 1, then you square. So this will be like saying 50 squared plus remember a squared, this will be 50 squared plus ab, that is 1 times 50 is 50 times 2, that will be 100, then plus 1 squared. So this will be 2500 plus 100 plus 1. That's going to become 2601. 2601 as the answer. And that marks the end of this wonderful question paper. In case you are interested for our tuition program or more consultation, reach out via the number 07 41 30 43 11. Feel free to reach out, subscribe, like, and share the video with your other friends.